In this video, we will be discussing how to engage students in Zoom. So what does student engagement look like in Zoom? So when we think about student engagement, there are several words that come to mind. Sharing, collaborating, applying, and creating. All of these get students actively engaged in the class and in their learning. Let's start by looking at some general strategies you can implement to get your students actively engaged. The first one is to provide a safe environment for students to engage in your class. Before most students will engage in your class, especially in class discussion, they want to know, will it be a safe space? The second strategy is to make sure you add active learning activities every 20 minutes or less that engage the students in your content. Getting your students active in the learning process will keep them engaged throughout the entire class. The third one is to give clear instructions on the activity and what you want them to produce. Once you give your students the instructions, make sure they fully understand what they are expected to do. The fourth strategy is to have all materials prepared ahead of class. The fifth strategy is to use a variety of active learning strategies during the course of the semester. In a moment, we will give you some examples you can use right away in your class. The last general strategy is to decide when and where you want to implement active learning strategies, face-to-face, Zoom, or online asynchronous. If you use PowerPoint presentations, it's good to review them to see where you can add active learning strategies to your lecture. Now let's take a look at 4 different types of active learning strategies: think breaks, student responses, group activities, and simulations. Think breaks are times in your lesson when you pause and have the students think about something. You can have them think about it by themselves, with a partner, or a group. Let's take a look at 3 think break examples. The first example is called a 1-minute paper. It is a technique where students are given an instructor-posed question and they have 1 minute to write it. They could write about anything you give them, what they learned, what they were confused about. It could also be centered around ideas, thoughts, interests, opinions, or connections to any topic or concept. This technique can be done anytime during class. The second example is a picture prompt. Students are shown an image and asked to identify and explain the image. You can also have the students find an image and ask the rest of the class to identify and explain the image. The last think break technique we will discuss is called think, pair, share. This is a popular active learning technique that can easily be done using Zoom breakout rooms. Start by giving students a question, topic, or concept for them to think about or possibly write about. Then break the students into breakout rooms of 2 to 3 and have them share and compare their answers. Once they have shared with each other, have some or all of the groups share their thoughts with the entire class. The next part we will look at is called student responses. This is a technique where you get students to respond to a prompt. It can be a verbal or digital response. Let's take a look at 2 digital options that work well in Zoom. In Zoom, there is a built-in polling tool. Polls are a great way to get quick feedback from your students on any topics. You can choose from a standard poll, advanced poll, or quiz. With the advanced polling option, you can create polls that are single or multiple choice, matching, rank order, or short or long answer. Once you have the poll set up, just select the polls option in the meeting controls to start the poll. The second student response option that works well in Zoom is their new digital whiteboard. They have made some great improvements to this tool. You can even create your own whiteboard ahead of time and then launch them during class. The next set of engaging teaching techniques is group activities. Group activities are a great way to get your students actively engaged in your course while building classroom community. One of the best ways to break students up into groups in Zoom is using breakout rooms. You can split up the class into any size groups and give them separate space to discuss and work. Once they're in their groups, there are many different techniques you can use to get students working together. Let's take a look at two of them. The first one is called Jigsaw. This is where you choose a learning topic that can be broken up into parts. Within each part, form several small groups. Give each group a chance to review their part. Once they have discussed their part, then move on to round 2. This is where you will form new groups with students that have different parts. Within each group, students will discuss their part with the rest of the group. Once they are finished, you can bring the entire class back together to review what they have discussed in their small groups. The next group activity to try in Zoom is called the round robin. You pose an open-ended question to the class. Give them time to think about it by themselves, and then break them into groups to discuss their thoughts. After the small group time, you can bring them back together again to share with the entire class. The last engagement technique we want to look at in this video is simulations. These are virtual reality scenarios featuring animated environments and characters portrayed by live actors in real time. Unlike a game or AI software, the simulations engage learners in an immersive experience. Students interact with the avatars in the same way they would with real people. The avatars' responses are improvised in real time and can be adapted to suit their course's requirements. The great part about the simulations is they're all done using Zoom. For more information on engaging your students in Zoom, we have many different resources you can check out. All these links will be posted in the description below.